What's up? In the new van today. They gave it to me with 0 miles left until empty. So we're here getting gas, but I'm pumped. It looks like the step van. It drives like a Transit. I'm so curious to see what it's like. There's nothing more clutch than showing up to your first stop, finding one of these. Let's go. All right, so we're just gonna do a couple rainy Seattle stops here, and I'll start to give you some of my first impressions. Already, there's a lot of things that are different, and some I like, some I'm not quite sure about. I'm open to trying something new, so let's see how this goes. So far, so good. I really like that you can have the passenger door open, but the driver door is just a door to like a normal Ford Transit. If you're hopping out and delivering packages, you have to come through the passenger door. But then it's nice because you can just come right in, pick up your stops. I think that's better than having to come through the cargo door every time. This area is basically the same as a step van, except for I think it's like a couple inches narrower. So you have less room in the aisles, but the shelf space is about the same. The height is about the same. There's a lot of space in here. And then here's how I've been getting into the driver's seat, which is kind of weird because it's way down there. I grabbed the handle and there you go. Now you're in the driver's seat. Even though it's way down here, this handle makes it a little bit easier. One thing that I miss about the step van is that usually there's a shelf right here and there's no passenger seat, so you can't put packages in the passenger seat. You could put everything on the shelves right there, but it's still a little bit too hard to just reach back and grab it. But that's just another thing to get used to, I guess. Trash can. Also, I'm just realizing the normal Transits only have one set of shelves, right? Like they'd only have this bottom set, they wouldn't have this top set. Is that right? I'm pretty sure they only have one set. So that's kind of nice to have a shelf for your totes, space underneath, and a shelf for your oversize up top. Hey, it has that spinny thing. Haha. Okay, I know I really should have like boots or something, but I'm so confused. Left foot, dry. Right foot, for some reason, my right foot is soaked. Totally soaked. I don't know why. My left foot, fine. What's going on, right foot? Get it together. Get it together, right foot. You're dragging me down, right foot. I keep forgetting that the space above the driver's seat is actually pretty tall, so you can totally stand up. But I'm so used to having to duck in the normal vans that I'm like walking around like this everywhere when I could just stand all the way up. It's kind of hard to visualize. There's kind of like this little boxed section above the driver's seat, and then you can walk right into the cargo area. The door isn't quite tall enough, like I have to duck to get out of the door, but still pretty tall. Just short enough that I might smack my head. So the whole thing with these new vans is that they're light enough that you don't need to get DOT certified to drive them. Everything is just a little bit lighter. It just doesn't feel as sturdy as the one on the step van. And like, there's a lot more plastic, there's a lot more thinner material. This is another spot where I think they might have tried to save some weight, is the cargo door. It's a lot thinner and it seems a little bit less sturdy, and it kind of wiggles around more than the one on the step vans. This is that area again, right above the driver's seat. And you can kind of tell, but it's made out of fiberglass. So I'm sure that's a lot lighter. I can't remember exactly all the weight ratings and everything here in Washington, but I was told that this thing is just light enough that you don't need the DOT certification. So that's good for Amazon because they don't have to pay to have drivers trained to drive bigger trucks like the step van. They can just drive one of these that has just as much room, but you don't require that extra training. We'll see for the drivers. This is the first day at my DSP that anybody has driven one of these. There's some other DSPs at my station that have had them for longer than us. The one guy I've talked to said that he likes the space, but it's just harder to get used to driving it, I guess. This motion feels really awkward to me. Getting up and then back down the step, it just seems weird. It's like you're stepping up onto the floor, but then you have to go back down into the seat. It's not horrible. It's not horrible. I'm sure it just takes some getting used to, but coming from a step van, it's just so easy to get in and out. I don't know, maybe coming from a Transit, it's better? I don't know. Oh my gosh. I like whatever this is. Very grippy. Nice. Wow, a little plunger man, and his name is Poopy. No way. Dude, seriously, if you're one of those people who hands out snacks to your delivery drivers, you're awesome. Thank you. Makes my day every single time, especially on a day like this where it's pouring rain, I'm freezing, my shoes are wet, but at least now I have a snack. Thank you. Well, it finally happened. I slipped. It's not that bad, but I do need a Band-Aid, and since these trucks are brand new, I don't know if they have a med kit. All cleaned up, back to it. It's still pouring rain, dude. Gosh. Alrighty, we're about to put this new van to the real test. Coming up, we have a complete 180 turn. Every time I try to do this in the step van, I have to do like a 12-point turn, and it's really annoying. So let's see if this van can do it. That did surprisingly well. I think I might have just found the biggest advantage of these vans versus the step van, which is the turning radius. There's been a few times today where I've taken this van down a dead end or something like that that I would never usually do in a step van, and it's actually done pretty well. Flipped a couple U-turns, which is like impossible in the step van too. Interesting, very interesting. This is like a pretty narrow road. I've had step van routes over here on this exact road, but that car like parked kind of out far towards the road. This van will make it through, but it'd be pretty tight with the step van. Yeah, step van would have made it through. It would have been tight, but since this thing is a little bit smaller, it's not even a big deal. 98, 99, 100. Let's talk about keys. This thing has a lot of keys. The fob has a button for unlock, lock, and the cargo door, which does nothing because this van doesn't have a cargo door, and your ignition key. You also have this fob like you do in the step vans, but instead of 4 buttons, there's only 2. Number 1 goes to your cabin cargo door, and number 2 goes to the sliding door in the back. This key is if you want to use the sliding door from the outside. I haven't actually used that one yet, but it fits, so I think that's what it's for. And then this key is for the passenger door. You put it in, turn it, and it pops out like that, and then you can open the door. The only thing is that once it's open, there's no way to lock it or unlock it with the fob. So as far as I can tell, you have to manually lock and unlock it every single time, which is kind of weird. Just finished our route. I had one mystery package that snuck into one of my totes. It's in our delivery area, so dispatch told me to pick it up. I'm gonna go deliver that really quick, and then we'll see what's next. No way, look what I just found. A vent. Closed. Open. So there's the new van. And then there's the old van. Having them side by side, this one actually is quite a bit bigger. I don't know on width, like the measurements and everything, but this one is quite a bit taller and even maybe a little bit longer. Just finished my rescue. Only another 10 stops, so pretty easy, but I think we might have one more. One thing I probably should have mentioned at the very beginning is that even though this is based on a Ford Transit, it still doesn't have a radio. Instead, it has this 360 cam, just like the step van, rear view cam. There's not actually a screen where your rear view mirror would be, which is actually a little bit weird. It kind of throws me off. The angle's just so wide, so it's kind of hard to see exactly what's going on behind you. Here's something that this van does that the step van can't do though. When you turn your blinker on, it shows you a view of your blind spot using the cameras from the 360 camera. Kind of an interesting touch. Gosh, I keep having to do this. There we go. I've been driving around all day with the door open, so that part's pretty nice. Just hop right out. Okay, one more quick thing before it gets dark. Button tour. Unlocks the sliding door. Rear spotlight, I'll show you in one sec. Unlocks the cargo door from the inside. Also unlocks cargo door. Rear spotlight. Dome lamp. These also have a jump seat, which I'm sitting in right now, but this one seems like a last resort. It does not seem very stable, and I don't think I'd want to sit in this. One more thing, they decided to put the dolly towards the back, which makes sense, I guess, if you're going to be bringing the bigger packages out the back anyways, but it's kind of just right in the way. Like, there's space for a tote right there, but you can't really get it in because of that. Even up here, you can't really fit a tote in. I mean, you can like slide it in, but it seems kind of weird. But this is where they put the strap. That's where it's gonna go, I guess. I don't know. Back at the station. There you go. First day in the CDV, done. I think it's way better than the Transit. If you're coming from a cargo van, I think you're gonna think that there's way more space. It's a lot easier to get in and out of, although from a sitting position, it is still a little bit weird. I think it helps to have a handle to like pull yourself up, but I don't know. When you're stopped in one place and then you're hopping in and out to grab multiple stops, I think that will be huge. I don't know, I'm curious to hear what other people think. If you're coming from a step van, I think you might have mixed feelings. It rides a lot smoother and the turning radius is way better. It's narrower, but not by much. And honestly, I feel like even though it's narrower, the mirrors make it a little bit harder to see because you don't have the big mirrors like in the step van. And maybe it's just because I've never driven this before, but it's kind of hard to judge where the rear end is. And like when you're going through tight spots, it's a little bit harder to see, I think. And then the other thing, it's a lot harder for me to get out of a seated position up and then back down the stairs. I don't know, it just seems weird. It's so nice in the step van to be able to go out the passenger or the driver's side door. Usually I just drive with the doors open, so that makes it super easy. Having the shelf up front too is also big. A lot of times I'd be getting out of my seat, coming back, grabbing a package, then going out the door. In the step van, I feel like it's more of a solid motion. You can just grab the package from the shelf while you're still sitting in the driver's seat and then slide right out if that's what you're gonna do. Definitely very curious to hear people's perspectives on the commercial delivery vehicle. I know more and more of them are getting rolled out. There's already a bunch more at our station just in the last like week. So maybe you're coming from a step van, maybe you're coming from a cargo van. I don't know, I'm curious what you think about this, some of the pros and cons. Is this just like a weird mashup that Amazon is forced upon us and doesn't actually make sense to the delivery drivers? Or maybe there's been enough testing and thought put into this that it'll make sense after you get adjusted to it initially? I don't know. We'll just have to see. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. CDV, Amazon. I had absolutely no idea that I was going to be driving this today, but it's pretty cool to be one of the first in my DSP to drive it. Interesting experience overall, I think. Curious to see what other people think. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching.
Let's go.